Ever pondered over a globe and wondered just how many countries are there in this vast world? In the next few minutes, we'll unravel this intriguing query, but be forewarned, this isn't as straightforward as you might think. The answer hinges on the perspective you adopt, as the definition of country can vary significantly. So, are you ready to embark on this journey of geographic discovery? Brilliant. So let's dive into the exploration of this fascinating question. A common answer to our question is to look at the United Nations member states. Now, if you're not familiar, the United Nations, or the UN, is a significant international organization that was established in the mid-20th century. This organization currently boasts a robust membership of 193 states. These are all sovereign entities recognized by the international community as legitimate countries, if you will. But what do we mean by sovereign? In essence, these are nations that have the power to govern themselves without any interference from outside sources or bodies. They have their own governments, their own laws, their own citizens, and their own territories. So, if we go by the United Nations list, we would conclude that there are 193 countries in the world. But wait, the UN's member states aren't the only countries. There's more to the story. Beyond the UN, we discover a surprising array of entities that consider themselves countries. Let's take a moment to explore these territories that, though not recognized by the United Nations, assert their independence, sovereignty, and unique international statuses. First, we sail to Taiwan, an island in East Asia with a robust economy, a vibrant democracy, and a population of over 23 million people. Taiwan operates as an independent country, but due to complex geopolitical reasons, it's not recognized as a UN member state. Next, we journey to the heart of Europe, to Kosovo. Though it declared independence from Serbia in 2008, its status as a separate country is contentious, and it's not a UN member. However, it governs itself and is recognized by over 100 countries worldwide. From there, we move to the Middle East, to Palestine. Despite its ongoing conflict with Israel, Palestine considers itself an independent state. While not a full UN member, it does hold a non-member observer state status. We also have unique entities like Vatican City, the smallest internationally recognized independent state in the world, both by area and population. It's the spiritual and administrative headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church. Then there's the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. It's not a country or a territory, but a unique entity. It issues its own passports, has its own currency, and maintains diplomatic relations with over 100 countries. With these added, the total number of countries increases considerably. So, after considering all these entities, what's the final count? Well, it's not as simple as you might think. The United Nations, for instance, recognizes a total of 193 sovereign states. However, if we broaden our perspective to include those recognized by at least one UN member state, the number goes up to 206. Going a step further, if we include territories that have declared themselves independent, even if they are not broadly recognized, the count could rise to well over 210. And this doesn't even take into account the numerous indigenous nations and tribes across the globe that consider themselves distinct entities. So you see, the question of how many countries are there in the world hinges on one's perspective and the criteria they choose to apply. Therefore, the answer to how many countries are there in the world is not as straightforward as it may seem. In conclusion, defining what constitutes a country can be quite a complex task. With a myriad of factors to consider, from political recognition to geographical definitions and cultural identity, the seemingly simple question of how many countries are there in the world can take us down a rabbit hole of geopolitical intricacies. We've explored the United Nations perspective, which recognizes 195 sovereign states, but this is just one interpretation. We also discovered other countries that aren't officially recognized by the UN, but consider themselves independent nations. This includes places like Taiwan and Kosovo, making our final count a bit more complicated. Yet, the beauty of our world lies in its diversity and complexity. Each corner of our planet is unique, filled with its own stories, traditions, and identities. So, next time you find yourself pondering over a globe, remember, The world is a lot more diverse and complicated than it may first appear.